All right, it's already 12:30, and we want to respect everyone's time. I know this session's going to be an hour and a half or so, and we are so happy that you're here. Right after lunch, I know y'all's tummies are full, and you may get a little sleepy, but we're going to make this fun and interactive as well, okay? My name is Olga Rodriguez. I am a pastor's wife. Well, first of all, I'm a wife, a mother, a sister, and a grandma of 8 grandchildren. Yes, 8 grandchildren. I love my babies. And also a pastor's wife who has been serving in the community for 35 years. So first of all, I just wanted to, my passion is now trying to make sure that the faith community is getting the resources, and we're going to be talking about that today. This session, if you're not aware, is on mental health resources for the community. So it is very, if you're thinking, well, what am I doing here? This is for mental health resources. Now, again, I just wanted to say that my goal and what I really would like to communicate to the faith community, anybody in the faith community here present today? Pastors, teachers, anybody in the church? Nope, nobody. 1, 2, okay, great. 3, yes, there's a couple. So I really want to communicate how important it is for us to gather these resources and to see what's available to the faith community. And we have on our panel our ladies that were here yesterday, and they're going to do a small introduction of themselves, and then we'll go into some questions that we have for them concerning the resources that are available to the community, to the faith community, to everyone. So, Rose, can you just give us a small introduction of who you are and what you do?
Hi, can everybody hear me? Hi, my name is Rose Arizola. I am a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a grandmother. I also get the honor to be part of NAMI. I oversee the warm line. Part of what I do is provide information, resources, really hold the space for the person with the journey or their family members. So thank you for coming back or coming for the first time.
My name is Hoenigman. I'm also a mom of 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. And also, I am the Director of Education Support at NAMI Greater San Antonio.
Just to make sure, ¿alguien necesita español? We're all English understand? Okay, awesome. So I'm Norma Fuentes Quintero. I'm a pastor on the west side of San Antonio for the last 60 and a half years. I'm everything that they are, a mom, a wife, a grandma, all that stuff. But more than anything, we're just here trying to find ways to resource you guys, our communities, with the help that is much, much needed, right? So let's get started.
Absolutely. Now, we have some experts on our panel and I'm going to talk about Rose because Rose has been working with the Warm Line, and she knows about a lot of the resources that are available to the community, and also about some roadblocks. Now, raise of hands, who's ever run into roadblocks trying to get resources, or when you refer someone to someone that, they're denied or they're turned down or they don't have funds? Raise your hand if you've ever had that happen. Yes. So Rose, can you share some of the resources that are available to the community, and not just your general community, and then we'll talk about also for the faith, but please share.
Can I share my short story?
Absolutely.
How I got started, right? Thank you. Yes. My name is Rose, like I said. I was raised by a single Mexican mother of 4. Today I'm a wife and a mother and grandmother. I have experienced symptoms and conditions of mental health as far as back as I could remember. I have been on this wellness journey for myself for the past 16 years. Growing up, I was never taught how to speak up about how I was feeling or when I was struggling, because my mother was struggling herself. Too often enough, she was struggling just to keep the lights on. Every person deserves the right to the most basic information when it comes to mental health, regardless of your age, your race, your zip code, or medical coverage, or lack of support at home due to not talking about it, right? Whether you are reaching out for help for yourself or a loved one for the first time, or if you tried and done everything, All we ask is that you stay open and curious about what is available. Rather than focusing on all the things that we don't have when it comes to mental health resources, we can, in fact, stay open and curious about what we do have. We do this by informing ourselves first of all the criteria and process each resource requires. We do this by working with our community partners to bridge the gap between what they are presenting versus the roadblocks our community is experiencing. Too often, I sit with these partners in our community and they do a great presentation about what they offer, but what I hear the community saying is a whole different story. And I don't have time to just sit and talk. I'm more like, what if we did this different, right? Because it's not reaching who needs to be reached, right? This is a lifelong journey, one where you hear a lot of no's before you hear a yes. Learning how to push back on the pushback is something that made a world of a difference for me. As much work as we need now, as much we lack, I will share with you that 16 years ago, there was no doors to knock on. So too often, we spend way too much time on talking about all the things that we could do better, but instead of grabbing what we can do now. I now understand that my wellness journey is not a quick process. It's not one pill, it's not one thing, but rather a handful of things that keep me on track. Finding those things was totally up to me. Nobody could tell me what I needed to be better. That took time and a lot of effort. I needed information, I needed resources, I needed support from my community. Above all, I needed evidence to know that this was possible for me too. I was desperate, I was lost, I was broken. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't want to hear about all the things that work for you. I wanted to see how it would work for me too. As a mother of 2 adult children with their own journeys, I needed to learn how to support them without crossing boundaries or triggering them. How important my approach with all this was and is. As a mom, I operate from a mom. I want my kids to get better today. I'm desperate to know what it is that I could do. And even though I've done this for 16 years, my approach didn't work for them or for me. It started with me. I had to educate myself about the brain and how mental health affects our brain every day, right? Because really knowledge is power. And when we inform ourselves, we're able to show ourselves a lot of grace and a lot of patience. Because for me, I am not just my diagnosis, I am a whole person. Before I experienced any crisis, my journey started when I was a child. And unless I keep informing myself and I keep educating myself, that other person might not ever change, might not ever be open to help, but I surely could learn how to approach them better. There's so much that we don't know about mental health. We know 2 things. We know that it is genetic, and we know that too often enough, life and trauma affects it, right? We are living in times where we don't know if it's only mental health or if it's mental health and conditions from substances. Working at the shelter Haven for Hope, I was always the one that worked with the people with a complex, right? And I don't like that word complex because it's also a label, right? We need to meet people where they're at and not where we want them to be. Because then we just become part of the problem and one more thing that we're required of them, right? Once I understood how the brain is affected, I found the tools that I needed to navigate that with somebody else, right? As family members and caretakers, it is vital, I can't say this enough, it is vital that we take care of ourselves first. We were never taught on how to establish boundaries. Never. Too often, we trigger each other. When aggression happens with somebody who's suffering with mental health, it's always with the loved ones before it's out with the community. We are sadly living in a society where we wait until there's an emergency before we get somebody the help that they need. Right? It's almost like the house is burning and then there's smoke all along the way and we wait for the house to be on fire before we reach out. And then when we do reach out, what happens? We end up in jail or we end up in the hospital and we get let right back with no treatment, with no help, and that's due to lack of beds, lack of insurance, lack of knowledge, right? Because the parents are calling in and saying, hey, my loved one is in jail, I need more help. Nope, you don't have a release of information, right? Well, how is somebody going to sign a release of information if they don't even know what's going on around them? And guess who called the cops on them? Mom. You think I'm going to want my mom to know my business? Absolutely not, right? But we get to inform the staff at Bexar County. I know you can't violate my son's rights, but let me tell you what took him there, what medication he's on, what he's hearing, what he's seeing, because if not, that person might not ever have a real shot at treatment. How many people are diagnosed with depression and anxiety when in fact it might be something more severe is so horrendous to hear every day. But unless the professionals, the caregivers, the people that are doing the work, if we don't inform ourselves on how to advocate for our loved ones, we stand no chance. We literally stand no chance. So again, it starts with us, right? We are actively building community partnerships, collaborating on how together we can make this better for our community, because recovery is possible. The only requirement is that we are full of hope, right? I am the one that'll be knocking on those doors. We have a business center at NAMI, and our neighbors are Center for Healthcare. And I'm the one that's knocking on their door and saying, I hear that you have all these great programs, but really in reality, this is what's going on, right? And they're like, oh, this is because they're presenting and they don't have a crisis, but they gotta present to this clinic, right? Most of us don't even know that this entity has different levels of care. I didn't know, and I've been doing this forever, but it's because we don't often have enough time to get to the truth. I'm tired of this. I don't want to know how successful this is. Tell me how I get the person served. Because half of the battle is getting somebody to be open to receive the help that they need. That's half the battle. But then when even somebody gets desperate enough and be like, all right, how do I do this? You send them there and what happens? Not today, you don't qualify, see you next week, come back. That is horrendous for me. That might not ever happen again. Your loved one might not ever want to go again. So it's important that we educate, we start here and we educate here. We inform ourselves, right? As professionals, we're so occupied with protecting the person's rights that we never even care to say, Maria, what are you seeing at home? What is your loved one doing? What is she not doing? If we don't include Maria in part of the treatment without violating this person's rights, how are you going to get started? I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I'm hearing voices. I don't know if you're real or not. I have a chip in my brain. I am not going to just openly say that. I don't know you. I don't trust you. That is not a thing that you just bring up. Right? Yeah. So...
No, Rose, I mean, you're talking about roadblocks, you're talking about being an advocate, how important it is to be an advocate, right, for your loved one. It is very, very important. And you have ladies here that have lived and have experienced. They're not just, it's not textbook, it's something that they have lived and they have gone through and they've experienced, they've helped. So, Rose, one of the roadblocks, what is the biggest roadblock that you have seen? Obstacles that in people trying to get the help when they go to a certain place to seek help? Here you go.
First of all, we don't talk about it. So we don't even know what to look for. Oh, he's just a teenager, he's just in his games. No, it might be something more. If we don't talk about it, we don't know what to look for, and then we wait until something is going on that we're at the emergency room, and now we're expecting everything to be solved in one stay, one weekend. And what happens? Go home and follow up with your professional. What professional? What professional? Right? Because what happens? Sometimes the person has lost all their belongings. They don't even have an ID. Right? Second of all, insurance. Who gets approved for Medicaid? Right? Like almost nobody. Right? So whether you haven't, so let's just start there, right? Where do I even go to get an ID? To get an ID, they're gonna ask for what? A social. How do I have a social? I don't have a wallet. Where do I start? So that already is overwhelming. So it's easy for me to say, Maria, don't be lazy, man. Go get your ID. And then Maria goes to the DPS. Hi, I'm here to get my ID. Okay, where's your birth certificate and your social? I don't know. I lost everything. So then it's a big circle of nothingness, right? Nothingness. I know where to go. Why do I know where to go? Because I've been that person on the street. Right?
Talk about it a little bit about that. If you feel.
I remember being little, and my mom had 2 jobs, so she wasn't physically there, right? Just, if I didn't make it to school on time for breakfast, there was not gonna be a breakfast. I knew what a bill was at 5 years old, because I had to translate for my mother. Now, you might be sitting here and be like, well, I can't relate to that. I had 2 parents in the house, and I didn't have to worry about that. Good. Great. I'm happy. I'm excited for you. But if not, and you could relate with some of it, I don't tell my full story because it's a lot, but I will touch, right? I would touch a little bit, right? I could not even imagine telling my mom, I don't feel like going to school today. I'm like really sad. I'm like, I got straight A's, Mom. And not because she didn't know how to say, I'm proud of you. She was so busy trying to just keep the lights on that she just, right? Unsupported, uneducated, going to school, did my best. Now I'm a young mom. Now I'm married. Now I'm just doing my best. And I'm now with another person who's not well either. I'm 30 years old. I decided at 30, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm numb. I'm disconnected. I'm trying to help my kids. I can't even help myself. So at 30, I had a crisis. I didn't even know I was in crisis. I just knew my mom was like, hey, you're talking really fast. I can't understand what you're saying. You can't even sit down. So I'm like, Mom, leave me alone, man. I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm going through a lot, Mom, leave me alone. She's like, just sit down. Sit down and try to sit for more than 2 minutes. So then I'm like, oh my God, just leave me alone, Mom. So I sit down and I'm like, if I sat down more than 2 minutes at a time, all the things that had happened to me, all the things that I did out of desperation was overwhelming. My reality was drowning me. So she didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to help me. They didn't trust me. I was not welcome in the house because like this person is like not herself. I don't feel safe with you being in the house. And what that did to me. She called for an emergency detainment. I went to the state hospital, and back then you could get in the same day. You could go in. So even being in the state hospital, I didn't even have connected for myself that I was in crisis. I'm in there and I'm like, hurry up so I could go home, go back to work, get my kids, and go about my business. And it just happened to be, and if you take anything away today, I want you to take this part away. I'm in the state hospital, I'm waiting for an evaluation. And they were having church services. And somebody comes in and they're like, we're gonna have church services, do you wanna join? I'm like, yeah, I'm a spiritual person, absolutely. And this lady, I will never forget, this lady who didn't know me, didn't owe me anything, she pulls me aside and she tells me, can I pray for you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm open, yeah, go ahead. And for the first time, she didn't pray for the 30-year-old me who was in the state hospital getting evaluated. She She said, I bring forth the little girl who never had a chance. I bring forth the little girl who never was valued. The one that was abused and neglected and thrown away. And when I tell you, just like a movie, like a roll of video, it was all my life, all the things that I had gone without, and all the things that I did out of survival mode. And for the first time, this lady who was a stranger to me connected that for me. And for the first time, I was able to see past my current situation. And I'm like, oh my God, no wonder I'm a hot mess. No wonder I'm like drowning in my sorrow. She did for me what I want you to do for your loved ones. I want you to make the connection for them because they're in it. Their brain is now in survival mode. They can't process the information when you're telling them, I need you to go and get treatment. They can't process. The brain, when it's in crisis, there's a front part of your brain that activates, and that's called the frontal part of your brain. It operates and it goes on. It's just like if we're sitting in a room and there's somebody that came in with a gun. That front part of your brain, boom, it tells you to what? Run, hide, get help. So when somebody hits a crisis, when mental health comes into the picture, that front part of the brain, boom, it clicks on. And it sometimes never goes back off. So you can't just say, hey, Joe, I really love you, let's go to the doctor. Joe's gonna be like, hey, leave me alone, man. You just let me alone, things will get better. Because that part of the brain hasn't gone off, right? So one of the things that we teach in our NAMI education classes is, I love you and I support you. My way is not working for me or you. I just need you to stay open about what I'm gonna present to you. You're setting them now in the driver's seat and you're painting the picture for them. You're making the connection for them. And you say, this just didn't happen today, right? There's things that have happened leading up to here, and I didn't even know how to help you. But now that we're here, I'm educating me. I'm learning how do I do this better with you, because guess what? Only you, it's only gonna be you who finds those things that work for you. It's not one pill, it's not one doctor, it's not one thing. You're gonna have to go and advocate. So when you present, let's say the first one that I have, just so everybody knows, I've made a sheet of resources, and I started with the ones that I've vetted and that I've sat with and that are now on the same page with us. I'm not gonna give you 30 ones that...
Does everybody have a copy of it?
No, I have them right here.
You have them?
Up here.
We'll pass them out then.
So at the end, I'll pass them out. What I've done is this. So the resources that I have are people that are willing to now include the family members in part of their treatment, then understand what the barriers are, right, to know where we're coming from, okay? So I'll tell you that when you say, if somebody has no ID, they're from Bexar County but has no insurance. Okay, so I'm just starting from the top and I'll move quickly, but you get to walk away with it, okay?
Let me just, before you continue on the resources, let me go down the line with Pastor Norma and ask her how important or how can the faith community get involved with mental health? How can they do that as a faith community?
Well, I do want to share something as Rose was talking. I don't know how many of you are actual professionals that you're trying to help people, or how many of you are here for your family or yourself. But one of the things that I think is so important for any of us is for us ourselves to be educated on symptoms and on helps, because I have, my oldest is 30 years old, and just this past year as I was talking to her, I was noticing some things in her behavior and different things, and she has 3 children under the age of 8. Her husband has mental illness, and he walked out and left them. And so she told me this. She says, Mom, you're trying to save me, but you can't save me. And she's like, because you will never know what I'm feeling or thinking unless you've been there. So it is very important, because look, as human beings, if we're well, at least we're decent with our mental health, right? Because we all need help. Now that I have been open and understand what mental health is, I tell my kids, we all need to go get counseling, including myself. We all need help. And so we need to educate ourselves. The faith community, look, the first place people go, especially people of my culture, they go to the church. They go to their pastor, to their priest, to their Sunday school teacher, whoever, their leadership, you know, that's who they go to first before they go anywhere else. And sometimes this is why I say get knowledge, because if we're not educated on symptoms, on conversations, we're going to blow them off. We're going to try to pray it away from them when it's not a prayer issue. You know, we don't tell people, let me rebuke this cancer out of your body. We say, let's pray for healing. Well, it's the same thing with our mind, right? We need to say, we're going to get you help. And if you were here yesterday, you heard that I was barely exposed to the reality of mental illness 4 years ago at a NAMI conference. From that day forward, every time we pray, every Sunday morning before we dismiss, when we're praying for the needs of the people, I make it a point to include, heal anyone who is sick today, physically, mentally, emotionally, because it's an important thing, right? We have to get awareness. But the faith community, I just had a person call me this last month, and I don't know her. I've never met her. She had called me a few months before about something else. But this time she said, so I read an article about you that you are a mental health aid coach. And I'm like, well, yeah, yay, but no, I'm not. And I was like, where did you read this article? And I was like, who said that? And she was, are you not? And I said, no, I'm so sorry, I'm not. And she said, well, it's here. And she told me, and I went, and sure enough, it's up there. I still haven't read it, but it's there. There's an article. And she said, well, I need to know where to go to get help, because I've been everywhere. And, you know, I was studying to be a counselor, and I had to quit school because of things, and everything everybody tells you is scripted. And she mentioned you, Rose. I've called Rose at the Warm Line. I don't know if you know her. I didn't know Rose at that time. And she was like, I know her. And she gave me this list of resources. I know it all. She's like, I know everything. I know everywhere I have to go to get help. So I'm asking you, she's like, since you're not even a mental health coach, she said, well, what do you do with your people at your church? And I said, well, you know what I do with people at my church when they're going through stuff is I sit down with them, either in my office, in the sanctuary after a service, outside, and we talk, and I just listen to them. And she's like, oh, well, that sounds pretty nice. And she's like, well, are you going to cram Jesus down my throat if I come over there? Or do I have to be a member of your church for you to help me? I said, look, first of all, I'm not cramming nothing down your throat. And secondly, I speak what I know. I'm going to tell you about Jesus because that's what helped me. I was like, you can hear me and that's it. You don't have to do what I say. But you know, I've been thinking about her because she said, I already knocked on all these doors, and it's what Rose said, there's no funding. No, they said no, you don't meet the criteria. You have to wait in line, all these things, right? So what do you do next? And because I was praying, I was like, Lord, you know, what should I have done with this lady? You know, where should I have directed her? But the Lord revealed something to me. We're full of knowledge, right? We are. We know everything, guys. Come on. I tell people at church on Sundays when I preach, I was like, we know it all. We're nurses, we're doctors, we're attorneys, we're teachers, we're everything. We know it all. And we do know enough to get across, to get by in life, and to get our family. We do. But there's no sense in knowing a lot of things and not putting them into action or practice, right? So as I was praying, because I was really burdened with this lady, I was like, man, she's been everywhere and there's no help out there. Man, she went to Rose, for crying out loud. Rose couldn't help her, you know? I was like, what are we going to do with this thing? Well, you know, and I'm sorry again, I respect your faith belief, and as I expect you to respect mine, but I really feel that I was led by the Lord, and he revealed to me, you know, the reason she hasn't been able to get help is because she's asking and she's not hearing what she wants to hear, and she's just jumping from door to door. But I went through this cohort, the DeVos Urban Leadership cohort, and they taught us this. They taught us you have to trust the process. But to trust the process, you have to start the process. And people don't like to start it. People want the end already. And yesterday, if you were at our conference, Rose said she was given the option to be medicated or to do some hard work. Because of her past with substance abuse, she said, I do not want to be on drugs. I'm going to put in the hard work. So here we are 16 years later. Who would have thought that Rose was going to be one of the main persons over at the NAMI offices here in San Antonio? Because she chose Yes, she chose to put in the hard work.
I'm not the exception, I'm the evidence, right?
So this sheet that she has here, don't think it's a two-sided sheet full of resources. It's Spanish and then English, right? Isn't it crazy to know that there are thousands of people that say they're out there as a resource and help, and these are the ones that she's proven to really step up to help? That's kind of sad. It should be a booklet. So I want to encourage you to just get knowledgeable on the subject, on the symptoms. I have a 20-year-old who sleeps all day. When the semester's over at school, she's asleep. I said, can you get up? And she's like, and do what? I don't know, wash dishes, walk your dog, something? You just don't understand. And I didn't. She has depression. When she gets going, sometimes things around her make her have anxiety. So I've had to make myself knowledgeable and not just condemn her or criticize her or say, get over yourself, stop being so dramatic, and try to understand her and sit, right? So you might have to sit with that loved one to get to know what they're going through. They have to find that safe space with you. If you're always condemning them and looking down at them, even as faith leaders, they're not gonna wanna come back to you. For what? They get that everywhere they go, right? But, so in your conversation, Rose, that you shared part of your life, right, with us, I want to ask you were talking about, because our topic here today is how to find those resources that you guys need. So you knocked on a lot of doors. This lady that I'm talking about that knows you, she goes, I already called everybody there is to call. I've called the city, I've called NAMI, I've called the suicide prevention line, I've called everybody, and nobody can help. It's not that nobody can help. I already said that. But, so what did you do when doors were closed for you?
So absolutely, thank you for that question, right? They call me that I'm the queen of awkward conversations. I am. I will have the most awkward conversation because it matters, right? Because you matter. So 16 years ago, I'm knocking on doors. I didn't even know what I was asking. I didn't even know what to ask for. I was just knocking on doors. And they'll be like, no, not right now. Let's just say, for instance, when you have mental health, sometimes you're not able to keep a job down, right? So when you call for utility assistance, what do they tell you? No funding, call back, try later. I learned really early on to say, what I hear you say is not right now, but since I'm already here, can I please just get on the wait list? Because I gotta leave here with some hope that when funding comes that I'm next. I just need to know that I'm next. I need to go home to my kids and tell them help is coming, right? So I had to really advocate from here, because when you ask that way, you remind the person on the other line in person why they started doing the work that they did, because they're already overwhelmed, they're overworked, it's not easy to tell somebody no, not right now. But if you operate from here and you come up with your own solution, can I just get on the wait list? And sure enough, the next day, boom. Hi, Miss Arizola, I just want you to know that funding came in and you have your light bill paid for 6 months. Wow, wow. Nobody taught me that. It was just a desperation, right? So I always tell people, it doesn't matter where you start, just get started. And nobody's gonna find that out for you. You gotta do the work. It's not a one thing, it's a journey. So back to your question. If you start with Center for Healthcare, you don't gotta stay at Center for Healthcare. Guess what? Inside Center for Healthcare, there are social workers that help you apply for what? Medicaid, CareLink, government Aetna. I have government Aetna, right? You don't got to stay where you start. But for me, I am so desperate for recovery that I'm going to try everything. If you offer me A out of A through Z, I'm going to grab that A. If you offer me B and D, I'm going to grab B and D, right? And so forth and so on. Don't just stick to one thing, try multiple things, right? So we empower the person by giving them 3 or 4 options that meets their criteria. If you're already desperate and in crisis, if you give them 20 numbers, do you think they're gonna call 20 numbers after the first one says no? Absolutely not. So we need to equip and empower the criteria that fits the need.
Repeat that again.
We have to inform and empower people are family members with 3 to 4 options, not anymore, 3 or 4 options that's going to meet their criteria and the need that they're telling you now. Not what you would like for them, not what you're thinking, what they're saying. Often enough, we got to say, Maria, what I heard you say is that you're really interested in. You're repeating back to them. Now they're heard. Now they're seen. Now they know they're leaving with some kind of hope, right? Okay. We start there, right? We start with 3 or 4 things that might help the person because it fits the criteria. But once they're in there, you get to move on, okay? They're gonna need information. They're gonna need treatment, right? They're gonna need community. Where do you get community? Church. Where do you get community? Support groups. Where do you get community? At home. Somebody needs to be seen and know that they're not alone. What more than community do you need? You need evidence. I don't want to hear Maria's whole history about what she's doing. I want to see her walking in victory, in recovery, right? Is it always easy? No. Does life still show up? Yes. Right? So can I just go real quickly with the resources?
Okay.
Yes, and then Maria, after Rose, share what Nani has to offer with.
Yes.
I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
It seems like I've been through the ringer.
I'm just gonna go through the resources real quick if you want to follow along, just so it's more educational and informative. So Center for Healthcare treats adults, children. There's a number for the main office for the adults and for the children. So Center for Healthcare is the main Bexar County authority in Bexar County. Okay, they will see you if you're insured. They'll see you if you're not insured. They'll see you, and the way that they operate that is you come in and you say, I don't have insurance. They're going to help you apply for Medicaid, Medicare, CareLink. You have to say, I need a social worker to help me. I can't do it on my own. I'm overwhelmed. No, not today. You're not in crisis. Go ahead and come back next day. You say, I haven't slept for days. I haven't ate. Right? Whatever your reality is. If you go there and you say, I need to see a professional today, I need help, they're going to say, are you suicidal? Are you in crisis? Blah, blah, blah. If you say no, come back next week. But you need to know that inside the Center for Healthcare, there's different levels of care, right? There's crisis and there's non-crisis. There's a clinic inside the clinic. You don't leave there without getting an appointment or getting seen. Now, if you get seen, be prepared. You're going to be there all day. They're going to start the evaluation right there. You're going to have to repeat your story several times. But nobody, let me repeat that, nobody in the city of San Antonio is going to be able to get you started on treatment other than them. Same day, next day. People don't know that. It's same day, next day, but it's up to you not to leave without the help that you need. How do you do that? I haven't slept, I haven't ate, I'm having delusions. Whatever's happening with you. And if you're not having a delusion and you're not seriously ill, I heard that you have a clinic inside the clinic. Can you tell me about that? Can you tell me about the different levels of care that you have? They have level 1, it's just medication. Level 2, level 3, level 4. Level 4 is wraparound services, case management, follow-up. Okay, you're educated. Now they just can't tell you to go away. Now you know what you're talking about, right? So know what you're talking about.
And all that you said is on this paper.
It's all on the paper. UT Health Now Clinic, UT Health System has a Now Clinic. Now stands for New Opportunities for Wellness. They provide treatment, right? They accept most insurances. Again, they have social workers. If you don't have insurance, they'll help you apply for the Medicaid for CareLink, okay? It is a case by case. Okay, so everybody's going to look different. Just because Maria got Medicaid doesn't mean I'm going to get Medicaid. I might get CareLink, right? I might have to go somewhere else, but I have options, right? They're all about crisis prevention, medication management, peer support, group support. This is a short-time treatment center. After they treat you for 3 to 6 months and you're stable, they're going to help you move on to something more, something better. That's why it's called a clinic. Communicare. Communicare has 21 locations all around San Antonio. You don't have to be a Bexar County resident. You might not have an ID. You might just have a residency card. You might not even be here legally. They will still see you. They have physical health, dental health, behavioral health. Their only requirement is that you're working, some kind of income. part-time, self-employed, anything, right? Get yourself a little Uber driver job, anything with an income. They're gonna help you apply for that state funding. That's their only requirement. You have income coming in. They see adults and children, okay? Methodist Healthcare Ministries, it's in the south side. They help me do all my dental work. I paid $5, okay? They're gonna see the people who have no insurance. If you have insurance, don't call them. Don't call Methodist Healthcare Ministry if you have insurance, if you have CareLink. This is specifically for people who have no insurance and you know you're not gonna qualify for Medicaid. You're just not gonna qualify. You're not. You're living with your family has income. You're not gonna qualify. They're gonna see you if you have $1 in your pocket, they're gonna see you. Their criteria is that you first get seen by a primary care doctor. They want you to go to them for everything. Primary care, dental care, counseling. Okay? That's what they do. This is not for somebody who's needing medication that's in crisis. This is more for counseling. You've been through a lot, you want to process with a professional. If that fits your criteria, you're going to call, give your information, they're going to call you back, they're going to tell you when to come in, what to bring. You're going to bring your ID, your social, if we're working or not working, they're going to help you. I still use them till today. If I have something, I go to them. Family service, who's familiar with family service here? Anybody? Family service has 2 locations. They're located on San Pedro and on Rivas, west side and north side, right? Family Service is the longest running nonprofit organization in the city of San Antonio. Under them, they provide counseling, empowerment, financial empowerment, that's coaching. If you parenting classes, everything all in one location. Nobody ever taught me how to raise my credit score and pay off debt. I wasn't taught that. You mean to tell me I could go and sit with somebody one-on-one and they could help me move forward? Absolutely. You mean to tell me if me and my kids are having problems that some counselor could help me process that? Absolutely. They're there. You call them, you give them your name, your social, your date of birth. A case manager is going to call you back. They're going to set up an appointment. You and your family get to move forward together. You get to set goals. You get to meet those goals. That's family service. Ecumenical Center. Ecumenical Center will see anybody, anywhere. You don't have to be Bexar County. It could be anywhere. They accept most insurance. If you don't have insurance, they have state funding. They do play therapy, art therapy, grief counseling. If you've ever lost anybody in your life, whether it's for suicide, whether it's whatever, hands down, best counseling for families in grief. That's the Ecumenical Center. If you're in the west side of town and you're not comfortable driving outside of your west side, I'm from the west side, that's why I say that. Family Life Center, counseling for families. They don't care if you have income, no income, if you're working, not working, they don't care. You call them, they're gonna make an appointment. Family Life Center is building up our professionals, starting in the highest place of need, which is the west side. You're in the west side, you call them, you make an appointment, get yourself the help you need. These are the ones that are open to hear when I say, your system is not working, we gotta make it better. These are the people that are open. They already know, you say NAMI, they already know, oh shoot, these people are informed. They know what to expect. Be informed. You can't say after you leave here that you're not informed, you're informed.
Thank you, Rose. So again, Maria is the director at NAMI for education and other things that they have going on. And everything that you've heard Rose share with you is not only things that she has lived and used in her own journey and her family's journey, but also that's her job. And I tell her I wish I could clone you like multiple times and take you to my community. But we're being cloned here. She's showing you. And if you guys, after this is all said and done, still need some orientation or guidance on how for you to get help, or your family or your client, call them at NAMI. But Maria, as the director of education, I know that Rose yesterday mentioned to us that she took, I think Family to Family it was called, and her adult children took peer to peer. Can you share about that with us, or anything else that you want to let us know?
So I think like one of the hardest parts, like how we discussed yesterday, we keep everything at home. we talk about it at home. No hablamos de lo que pasa. We make sure we're not gonna air out our dirty laundry. So then, like, the next step is taking that first step. It's really hard to be like, now what? And it's very hard to feel, at least I know in my culture, like con nosotros, it was hard to feel worthy to take classes, feel worthy to attend a support group. It felt it was for the rich, honestly. I know, like, working for NAMI, I never felt like being outside before I worked for NAMI. I never felt worthy to take time in my schedule to take a class or to attend a support group. I'm like, who has time? I have an internship, I work, I have children, I have laundry, I have dishes and stuff. So I think, like, empowering our families to feel worthy. I think the conversations I have out in the community, I do a lot of presentations on what programs we have to offer, is making someone feel worthy and valuable, and making them feel like what they're going to invest in this, the time they're going to invest, is going to be valuable. You know, like, they need to invest in themselves. So, like, some of the things we have, we meet people in different levels, in the peer level and the family level. So, like, what we do is we have classes. So the classes are like, let's say you're like, I want to invest in myself, I want to invest in my family, so I want to take some classes. So there's 6 to 8 week classes depending on which one you take. We have a basics class. So the basics class is for parents of young kids 22 and under. So it has to be a parent or a caregiver that takes this class. It could be so anybody could take it. They sign up, register, and honestly, being in the training where teachers were getting trained to do this class, because the people that teach this class are people that have lived the experience. They're people that know what you're experiencing. They're in recovery. Their children are in recovery. They get it. They get it. So, like, when people, so just being there in that training, I got it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to use this and take it for my own children, because my kids talk back to me. My kids do this. It didn't have to be like my children had a mental health condition.
Like a parent guide.
It was like, I feel like they tell you I wish I had a parent guide when my kid was born. This is a parent guide. I guarantee you, not because I work for NAMI, I guarantee you. Like, I went and I'm like, let me try this at home. Like, after that training, I'm like, let me try, like, some of these. My kids were, like, blown away. My kids were like, Mom, who are you? Like, what? Like, I got so many apologies, so many I love you, so many, like, yes, Mom, I'll do it. Yes. I'm like, this is phenomenal. Like, this is like, oh my gosh. Like, so I recommend the basics class. I recommend, like, how to advocate for your children. I have 3 kids, 7, 13, and 12. So my 3 kids, I know, like, teachers are busy. There's new administration all the time in different schools, new teachers, new coaches, new counselors, and they're busy with tests. I know I have to advocate for my own children. Imagine that power of advocating for your own children. Like, I'm going to give a little example. I know, like, my son, he has autism, and I know my son, like, he didn't pass his STAR test. Like, he has trouble taking tests. He's very smart. Loves movies, history, like, he loves it, and he retains everything, but he has trouble executing it out. So he didn't pass his STAR test. But I worked in a school. I knew that if I push back, how Rose said, that I could get, so he doesn't get electives if he doesn't pass the STAR test, because he needs extra help. So I was like, no, that's not gonna, he needs an elective. He hates school because it's so hard for him. I need him to have an elective. Something. So I went and I'm like, my son needs an elective. But ma'am, I'm like, my son needs an elective. He got his elective. He was in theater. But then I saw his friend, and my mom's like, Mom, can you go advocate for my friend? Because he didn't pass his STAR test either. And he didn't get it. So I see the difference. A child that didn't get that elective and a child that did. My son did phenomenal in middle school. in 6th grade, knock on wood, he's still in 6th grade. But he did phenomenal because I advocated for him. But a lot of parents don't know that they could advocate for their children. How to, or even with their doctors
So
and
Maria,
stuff.
the class you're talking about is the Familia?
It's a basic. This one's a basics
called
class.
the basics?
It's for children.
Okay.
So then we have Familia. Familia is for parents, loved ones, significant others, sisters, brothers, neighbors, and friends, anybody that cares for 18 and over. So like with a mental health condition, let's say you have the loved one and you want to help them and you want to empower them, you want to learn how to communicate with them. So there's that overlap because for the basics, it's if you're diagnosed early in life when you're a child. But for family, sometimes kids go to college, kids leave the empty nest, and that's when you want to advocate for their growing up. So that's when you go to that class that's 18 and over. So you decide, and we are more than happy to help you walk through that. So then we have Homefront. Homefront is a class very similar to Family to Family, and it's for the loved ones of military and active duty and veterans. So it's not for the actual veteran, it's not for the actual military person, it's for their loved ones and their relatives. So we have that, and it's very similar, but it covers more on deployment, what happens, how could you support your loved one who has PTSD, how could you support with traumatic brain injury, what are the treatments, what are the programs. So you get resources, in all these classes you get resources. We do have Familia en Español, that we have the material, it's 8 weeks. It used to be 10, so we were waiting for it to be shorter because who has time for 10 weeks, honestly? Not even the teachers wanted to do the 10 weeks. So, because it's too much time to invest. So they cut it down to 8. So then we have peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is for the actual person with a mental health condition. It empowers them. You're going to hear me say empower because I think that's very important. It empowers them. They take the classes. They know what the treatments are out there. We don't recommend any specific ones, but we tell them these are the treatments. This is how you could share your story. Like we teach people to own their story and how to share it. So there's a beginning, middle, and hope. I don't call it an end. I call it hope. So we teach them to share their stories. They learn, they get to meet other peers that are wanting to also, that have same experience, and these are taught by peers.
How much does it cost?
$0. You could, and we have them virtual, in person. You don't need insurance. You don't need to be diagnosed. So they're all over the community right now. Open enrollment. Anybody go to our website, sign up. We have a lot of options all over the community.
So that's your education.
So that's the education. Like to me, like I love being part of education because I get to educate people. Like anybody that comes in front of me, I'm like, oh, NAMI this and NAMI that. But I get to educate and support. So then let's say you can't invest that much. You just need a one and done, or you want to just something different. We have support groups. We have support groups for 18 and over, and they're for the person actually experiencing the mental health condition. We have an over 40 group. That's our popular group. I know everybody loves the over 40 group facilitators. They're so awesome. It's on a Saturday. And then we have a veterans group.
PTSD?
We have a PTSD group, and we have several general mental health groups. We have 2 that are hybrid, so you could do it in person or virtual.
But I don't have to have PTSD. Life is just traumatic.
Yes, you don't have to be diagnosed. You could just experience, if you feel like I'm anxious today or I'm depressed, I need support, you could just register, get on the link, you get the link, you're there. You're there.
Maria, once more. What's the cost?
$0. It's all free. And these are peers teaching, doing these support groups, facilitating. They're trained. It's evidence-based, research-based. It's effective. So it's not, you're not just going to have a room that's not organized and chaotic. It's somebody that knows what they're doing. They facilitate.
What about the families?
Oh, and then we have a family support group. We have 3 family support groups in person right now. And these family support groups, life-changing. People have called us and they feel like they get a community. So these support groups are for family of the person with the mental health condition. So it's a support system. We do have some for young parents, some parents that were facilitators, they're like, we had younger children too, so they kind of lean towards that more, like people that have young children go to that family support group. Anybody's welcome.
As a pastor, Rose and some of their staff came to our church, and one of the things that I love about these classes that they're talking about, you don't even have to come to them. They come to areas in your community. If your church is open to host an event or your business, whatever, they will come out to you. They bring the material. You just, word of mouth, get people to get there to sign up, and they bring everything for free. So if you're serious about recovery for yourself as far as mental health is concerned, or your loved one, then you can't leave today saying, well, I just don't know what to do, because we've told you a whole bunch of things you can do to get you in, get your foot in the door and get started. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I would like to know, other than English, you provide those classes in Spanish and other languages?
So, great question, and I'm glad you asked that question.
We're coming to you.
So she wants to know if other than English, are we providing these classes in Spanish? We're getting there.
Yeah.
We feel like first we have to get the trust of the community. We're getting there. It's like wherever they invite us, everything's translated. Everything, we have Spanish speaking facilitators. I could say in January, that was my goal when I started, I've been here a year, is January 2024, we're gonna have Spanish classes.
Yeah, what are we starting with now?
Right now, we're gonna have Compartiendo Esperanza, a little bit what we did yesterday.
Where is it gonna be?
And it's gonna be a family service association at the neighborhood place.
Wonderful.
Don't come all running because we have 30 people capacity, but call us and we'll register you. But we're gonna have starting with the conversations. And I think from there, we're hoping to have classes. Invite us and we'll go there. If you don't have facilitators, we take the facilitators to you.
We have the material in Spanish. We have the material. We're training up the leaders to do it in Spanish.
Yes.
So it's here, it's now. We're aiming for January 2024. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great news.
So we're excited.
Thank
I'm
you.
like chills because
Yes.
that's my passion. So.
Yes.
Are you only in Bexar County?
No, that's a great question. We're in all the surrounding counties except Guadalupe County because Guadalupe County has their own NAMI. So we're all surrounding counties.
San Antonio.
Actually, we have a family in Bulverde and Bernie. So if you're in those areas,
If you're interested in starting something in your county,
call us.
training.
Yes, free training every week.
Ma'am?
Please.
I just want to I took the virtual, and that was real, and at the time I was living rurally, so that made it available.
You took the virtual, which one?
The family to family.
Yes, we have one.
Because of the virtual, I was able to, take it rurally too.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank
we
you
do
so
have
much.
a virtual one.
Who else has a question? Anybody else?
See.
I can't see.
Right here?
If I send a client over, how do they sign up? And is it really easy? Because
Rose.
I hate when they tell me, like, I called, but nobody answered, and it's just like, that's frustrating.
So the way you do it is you go on NAMI-SAT.com. You go on our website, and on the very top, there's going to have education and support. You click on it, it's going to drop down, and it's going to tell you if you're the person or the family member. You register. You could attend in person or online. But if they want more in one-on-one, you call the warm line. I will direct it. If I don't answer, give me a minute, and then I'll call them back. Okay?
And if you get one of our flyers, it directs you exactly, the QR code and the link directs you exactly to where registration is.
Online, I can register.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just we're volunteers, like the people that help us. So if there's anybody in the medical field or in that kind of field that wants to help, we are looking for presenters for provider seminar training. There's a little stipend. So if you know and you want to help, the commitment is not huge. So yeah, let us know if you're interested. I'm here for it. We'll communicate. I'll empower you. You could do it.
We'll
Great.
walk you through how to do that, and then you walk them through it. It's real easy.
Okay, one more question. It's almost time. One more question. Anybody else have a question for
I
the
just
panel?
have a comment for those she was talking about the QR code. NAMI has a table downstairs. You can walk by there and get any information, phone number, business card,
Plenty.
all that kind of stuff.
And we have the list of all the classes that are available, like a binder that you could sign up for all the classes.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
What's the minimum amount of people for you to go to a business? How many people have to be present in order?
Well, talk because we'll work with you. We'll start with the step overview. I could come and do a presentation about all the services we offer for your employees, for your clients. We could do that first and then go from there and bring other programming.
If you are a professional and you know that your team, your managers, your supervisors are not equipped to support you, we do that type of training, presentations, development.
Yes.
You brought that up. Okay, our time. This time went by really quick, right? I really want to say thank you to everyone that was present today. I hope that y'all are taking away a lot of goodies here with all this information, all the resources. And if you did not get a copy, come and take a picture of it. I don't know if you have any more. There's not enough? Okay, so just get your phone camera and then take a picture of it and take it with you. But thank you once again to everyone. Thank you for being here, and I hope this was of help to everyone. Have a wonderful day.